Hello, my name's Tiffany London. I'm an artist and angler in Western Pennsylvania. I'm also a fishing skills instructor through Fish and Boat, and I have been doing an artist series of how to draw videos, and we are going to look at the Channel Catfish. Today I thought it would be fun if we started using a little paint for our medium. So I am going to start with a light gray for the catfish on top of the head and body here. And as I do this, I wanted to let you know I am not using anything complex here as far as paints. I'm just using a very simple palette that's actually my kids'. All you need to do is add a little bit of water, and I am not using a traditional watercolor paper. I'm still using my sketchbook paper, so I'm not using a lot of water. I don't want it to get too soggy and then it'll dry a little weird. If you are going to use a sketchbook paper, I suggest you practice and see how your paint is going to react to the paper first before you draw out your fish and start painting. I'm only using a medium brush and a small brush today. And again, I'm not using a ton of water, just enough here. And we're going to start light and we're going to slowly go in and we're going to darken it up. So follow along and let's get going. The next color we're going to use is a yellow-green, and I'm going to add a little gray here. I'm going to put it in the face of the catfish, in the cheeks here. And this is a pretty nice color. I was pretty happy with this. And put a little bit in the pelvic fin. And just a few other places we're going to highlight with this green gray. And then I'm up here, I'm using a dark purple and a dark gray, kind of mixing that together. And I'm also going to put that in the fins. We're going to do the dorsal fin. And we're going to do the pectoral fin. And this is just a nice dark purple. I went on the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat website to see what the channel cats you all have been catching look like. And I had some good photo references there, so I pulled my colors from that. I'm going to put some in the caudal fin here, and then down in the anal fin. So we're just getting our colors out here, and then we're going to go back and add detail. So I'm also only using two size brushes. One's medium and one's small. You do not need anything fancy. You don't need fancy paper or paint, just to have fun drawing these. And then if you do want to get into more of the fine arts, you can go buy the fine art watercolors and watercolor paper. Put like a dark gray here on these fins, and then the whiskers down here. The important part of every catfish. A few interesting things about the channel catfish species is, number one, it is the most numerous species of catfish found in North America. So you are going to be able to find this species of catfish almost everywhere. And also, it is the only catfish that has black spots on it. So at the very end, we're going to add a few black spots down on the belly side of the catfish. All catfish have smooth skin, so there's no scale work. We're going to just do the side of the fish and show it's just a smooth skin. Now we're getting in here and we're adding some red, and we're going to later make this a little darker. A good rule of thumb when you're painting any type of paint, especially a water-based paint such as this or watercolor, you want to start light and then you're going to slowly go darker. It's a lot easier to add darker to light than to try to make something dark light. So just keep that in mind. Take it light and then you can always go back and make it darker. And then I'm going to use that dark green again to come into the fin. A little bit of red here. You can use, if you want to use darker colors or not as bright colors, you can feel free to do that. Just start with a little bit of paint at a time. Now this is a red and white I mixed together to make a nice light shade of pink here. And we're going to come up above the lateral line and then below the lateral line on the fish. And another thing to remember, especially if you're watercolor painting, I have no white paint. So everything that is white on this fish, I am just going to leave it blank, paper white. So I do not have white. I'm just going to leave all the places that I want white in this painting white now. Now we're going to put this back here and blend it into the purple. Also, if you're new to working with any kind of paint, or especially water paint or water-based paint, it is very important that you keep your hand lifted. My hand looks odd in some of these. That's because I don't want my hand dragging across and smearing all the paint. It'll dry quickly, but if you need to stop, let your paper dry, come back into it, you'll be a lot happier. And then at the end, before I put the final details, I just let the whole thing sit for a few minutes. When it's dry, I go and add the final details so I am not smearing it with my hand. Gray here. And then I'm going to make a little more water, add a little more water here to make it more of a wash on the rest of the side of the skin later when I come back in. So the underneath of the fish will be white, so I'm just going to leave it paper white. I'm not going to go back in and paint white on top. And go back, this is a dark gray. And go across this lateral line here. I'm going to leave a little bit of paper white also in the middle for that lateral line. Now for time purposes, I'm going to speed this up onto a time lapse, but what I'm going to do is outline in a dark gray here and do a gray across the back and add some detail, and then you can leave it like that as your finished painting, or I will also show you that you can go back in and do some outlining in black. But I hope you had a great time. I hope you maybe learned some new techniques about watercolor or painting with a water-based paint, and feel free to message me on my social media if you have any questions, and send me a picture of your artwork. I would absolutely love to see it. I just want to thank the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission again for having me do these videos, and everyone stay safe and take care.